All right, by popular demand, I'm going to be reviewing Halls of Torment. Now, this is a game on Steam. It's $5 right now, and it's basically a horde survival roguelike. Very similar to other games out there in this kind of genre, but this one, I really dig this one. This one's very satisfying for me. It's got a good balance of progression and difficulty. It can be overwhelming at times, but it is tremendous fun to play. And as you can see, I mean, it's fairly rudimentary in terms of like graphics and stuff, but it's good enough for the games I play, man. It's very Diablo, old school Diablo-esque, with the health bar as an orb like that down there. So you're just trying to fight these hordes and hordes of continually advancing enemies, picking up some treasure along the way, and the treasure is what gives you the ability to loot to level up. And the level up mechanics are really interesting because there's just a bunch of different skills that you can pick from. You can see like it gives you a list of 4 skills you can pick from, and those continually refresh as time goes on. There's also equipment and like enhancements to your character as you go along, which increase like your resistance to damage, like your armor, and also gives you special abilities like special passive attacks. There's a couple that are like random arrows being shot at enemies or orbs flying around and that kind of stuff. So there's a lot of ways to customize your character as you're going through the survival mechanic, and you always start at the same baseline. So each gameplay is always going to be a little bit different. It's kind of, that's the roguelike element to this game, is that it's never going to be the same battle twice, because it's constantly evolving and changing, and as you change your character, and as the random number generator kicks in and changes the way that these enemies spawn, it's always continually advancing in that way, and continually different every time you play through. So I don't know, it's very in my opinion, it's very reminiscent of like an older 2.5D Super Nintendo or Genesis game, especially the graphics, the feel of the whole thing, very, very similar to that. So it's a lot of fun to play, and very light on your machine. I mean, you don't need a lot of machine to do this. It's not going to tax most any machine out there. So very, very easy to get into. Written in Godot, for what that's worth, and yeah, it's a great game. I guess a couple of complaints that I do have about this game is the surge of enemies. Like sometimes you get this influx of enemies, and once in a while that can be overwhelming. It can be to the point where you're not going to be able to get through it, simply because of the enemies that are already there, and then this new swarm that's coming in. A lot of times, if you're fighting a boss, there are bosses in this game where they're tougher to take down and they have special attacks. The boss will like do some kind of special attack with this horde coming in, and it's just like there's nowhere to move. You got to take damage and die. So there are situations like that. It doesn't happen very often though, so that's good. And honestly, I think at the end of the day, I wouldn't trade the influx mechanic of this for making it a little easier in those situations. I think it's better to just die and start over. The once in a while that you have no plan of escape. So it's definitely worth it, because that does add that level of difficulty, that level of making you sweat to try and get through that difficult influx, and it's not easy to do sometimes, and like I said, sometimes it can kill you. It can straight up kill you. So yeah, it's great fun to try and get as far as you can in this, and there's achievements around that. So you'll see it, like for me, I'm on Steam, so you'll see a Steam achievement pop up and say, oh, you survived this much in this realm. And as you go through the game, different realms unlock and different characters unlock. So right now I'm like the barbarian. There's also an archer that I unlocked. If you saw in the beginning of the game, there was 2 characters to choose from in this playthrough. And obviously there's other levels as you go through and continue advancing. You can unlock different realms that you can be in. So this is basically the starting realm. I wanted to keep it kind of simple, but as you go forward, you get more and more difficult and more interesting new realms and characters to mess around with and kind of customize and figure out your playstyle. So it's got a lot of depth in that capacity too. So overall, I guess the big thing is the score, and I'm going to give this a score of 8 out of 10. And very close to 9, but I can't call it a 9 because it's a very competent game. But 9 is kind of a rare thing for me. I don't want to go that far. Certainly don't want to turn into IGN where everything is a 7 out of 10 or an 8 out of 10. So yeah, this is definitely an 8 out of 10 for me. There are games out there that I would qualify as a 1 or a 2, so that 8 out of 10 is well deserved and well worth buying. Because again, for $5 for the money, I would say for the money, $5 it's 10 out of 10. But I don't count money in terms of gameplay, so I try and keep that as pure as possible. But yeah, definitely worth picking up for $5. Great fun, easy to get into, very fast game to start. And for me, I mean, I don't have a lot of time to game. And this is the kind of game that I've kind of been gravitating towards, the kind of game that you can jump in and play and have like a quick play session and just, veg out and get a 20-minute run in and then get back to whatever you're doing. And that's really great for me because of my schedule and the way it is. And I'm sure a lot of people are like that too. So this would definitely be a game for you if you don't have a lot of time to game, but you want something that's good and challenging and fun. This is perfect. So that is the review of Halls of Torment. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you like these kind of videos, give it a like, and I will talk to you guys later.